Happy Friday. Thank you so much for joining me for Pilates Matwork. We've got 45 minutes of flow style class. And as I just said a few minutes ago to those of you who arrived a little bit earlier than others, we are going to be we'll be spending some time on hands and knees. So if you don't have any sort of extra cushioning and you think you might want it for under your knees when we're down on that mat on all fours, go ahead and grab a towel roll, a small pillow, or maybe even a gardening pad type of device and have that handy. You can put it off to the side of your mat and I'll cue you when that might be useful for you. Let's all move at a pace that makes sense for our own bodies. We will be starting and finishing in standing. Take your time. If we're doing a number of repetitions that's too much or too little for you, feel free to do a couple extra or a few fewer. This is all meant to give us a chance to move our bodies through our available ranges and hopefully gain a little bit more energy throughout the day. All right, we're going to stand up and start. So if you do have that extra cushion, you can place it off to the side of your mat now. And we'll start standing in the center of our mat with our feet in line with our sit bones. So each heel is lined up right with the middle of each glute muscle. Our toes are pointed straight ahead, feet are parallel. And we're going to settle into our feet. Just take a moment to take a few breaths in through the nose, out through the nose or mouth, whatever you prefer. And let's just settle into our feet. Maybe take note of where your weight tends to settle. Are we settling toward our heels, toward our toes, toward one foot or the other more than the other side? Nothing's right or wrong. We're just kind of taking note of where we are. And if you feel safe doing so now, let's close our eyes and see what happens. Do we notice that same tendency to stay over a certain part of our feet? Do we feel ourselves wobbling a little bit and having to scrunch up our toes or press our weight to a different portion of our base of support to get nice and steady? We'll settle in here and then let's open up our eyes again if they've been closed. Take a big breath in and breathing out, we're going to draw our belly and our spine toward each other. We take the muscles right behind our navel and we tighten them back toward our spine. We're going to feel like we've engaged a seatbelt of muscles right around our waistline from those lowest ribs all the way down to the top of the pelvis and through to that pubic bone right in front, a couple inches underneath our navel. Holding a bit of tension there, we should still be able to breathe. What we'll notice now if we take a big breath in is that those ribs can open up out to the side a little more. And as we breathe out, those ribs funnel back in toward the midline. Again, let's take a breath in. Core stays active, ribs open up on the sides, and breathe out. We funnel those ribs right back in toward the midline, toward that belly button. Let's reach our shoulder blades up and down, letting them slide along the back side of our rib cage, up to the ears and down to the hips. We'll do that one more time. And let's make some circles with those shoulders. They go up to our ears, back and toward each other like we're squeezing a walnut between the blades, and then down toward our hips. Let's repeat. Up to the ears, back and toward each other, and down toward that waistline. Let's turn our head. We're gonna look over one shoulder and over the other, finding our side wall first, and then maybe seeing if we can eke out a couple more degrees and see that wall behind us. Again, let's turn to one side. Let's turn to the other. We'll face our screen and tip our head from side to side, ear to shoulder. One direction and then the other, lengthening out through the side of the neck and the top of the shoulder. On the side we're moving our head away from. One more time, we take that head up and over to the other side. Let's bring it right back to center. And we're gonna bring our fingertips to the front of the waistline, our thumbs to the back of the waistline. Again, we release our shoulders, let the blades slide down the back of the body. Reset belly to spine, feel the engagement underneath the fingertips of those trunk muscles. And we're gonna lift our toes up. As the toes come up off the floor, maybe we take a second to look at our feet. We should notice that inside arch, the medial arch in our foot, lifting up slightly from the floor. Let's spread our toes apart, feel that stretch across the instep, and then we're gonna take the toes down one at a time. Pinky goes first, then the fourth toe, third toe, second toe, and big toe come to the mat. Again, lift those toes, spread them apart, tap them down to the mat. Lift and spread and tap those toes down, and we'll do that one more time. Lift them up, spread them apart, and tap those toes down to the mat. Once the big toe touches, we're gonna soften up our knees a little bit, bend them just a touch to avoid hyperextending, and then we'll shift our weight toward our toes and toward our heels. What we're feeling for underneath our fingertips is a little bit of additional activation as we hit certain points in our range of motion. We're trying to keep our toes down, we're trying to keep our heels down on the floor throughout that range. As we come back, the tendency is gonna be to wanna lift those feet, but if we can keep the toes on the mat, we're gonna move that effort upward, we're gonna feel our trunk start to activate. Shift toward the toes. Feel the calves, the hamstrings start to work, and the low back just a little bit as well. Shift back and shift toward the toes. Let's come right back over the middle of our ankles again. And we're gonna push our weight from side to side, doing our best to keep our body moving in one unit from the feet all the way up to the crown of the head. We're gonna feel our trunk engaging a little bit differently depending on which side we're putting our weight through. And we're gonna feel the sides of our hips, maybe our glutes, maybe even the sides of our legs doing a little bit of work to help us keep up nice and tall over our feet. Let's make some circles around our base. Again, we draw our attention to what's going on underneath our fingers, and we're gonna feel those muscles in our sides turning on and off depending on where we are in our range. We'll make one more big circle, and then let's pause with our weight right over the balls of the feet before we take a big breath in. As we exhale now, we'll take that circle and move it the other direction. Keep those toes pressed into the floor. That may mean making that range of motion a little smaller with our circles there. All right, we are now going to settle our weight wrap back over the ankles again. We'll step our feet slightly farther apart. Heels are level with our shoulders now. Toes still pointing ahead. And we take the pinky sides of our hands right to the fold in our hips. Give the shoulders a roll back and down. Soften up the knees, and let's fold forward over our hands. The pelvis folds forward. Our trunk stays nice and still and straight as the crown of the head reaches toward the screen and as our tailbone reaches to the wall behind us. Squeeze your glutes. We're going to feel those hips pull into action. Let's shift our weight from side to side, and we're again going to feel our hips kick into action. Maybe we even feel the very innermost portion of our glutes right up by the sacrum, just below that lower back. Engaging to keep us nice and steady as we bring our weight from one foot to the other. Coming right back to center where we have equal weight over both feet, we reach our fingertips toward the floor and we move into a row. Bend the elbows, squeeze the blades together, and then reach toward the floor. Squeeze and reach, squeeze and reach, squeeze and hold the elbows by the side, and then we press our arms straight to reach the wall behind us. Bend them up, press them straight. Bend and straighten. We're going to feel our triceps, the backs of the upper arms engaging here. Press the arms back. We'll come up nice and tall. Release the hands, shake the wrists out, and give those shoulders a couple of circles. All right, as we drop the shoulders down again, we're going to turn our toes to point out toward the front bottom corners of our room. And let's take a slightly wider stance yet. Let's shift our weight way back toward our heels. And then bend those knees again, just to avoid hyperextension. We reset belly to spine. And let's bring our arms overhead. Hands toward the ceiling. Exhale the arms out to the sides and down by the body. Again, arms come out. This time we're going to pause them at shoulder level, palms facing forward, and we stretch our fingertips toward the side walls. Resetting belly to spine. Let's take one arm. We're going to reach it up to the ceiling and breathe it over. Engaging in a nice tall side bend, reaching our fingertips toward the top of that side wall. Inhale up nice and tall, and exhale, we're going to repeat on the other side. Nice tall side bend, stretching those fingertips up the top of that side wall. Inhale to center, exhale and side bend. Inhale to center and exhale, side bend. Let's inhale up nice and tall. Now we bend our elbows, clasp the fingers, and turn the palms to face the ceiling. We can rest the backs of our hands on our head as we allow those blades to drop down. We reset belly to spine and press those elbows straight as we can get them. Engaging the triceps to get those arms as close to the ears as we can. Again, we're going to take a few side bends, lengthening out from armpit to waistline, maybe a little bit longer. Maybe we feel this from elbow down toward the top of the pelvis. Breathe up nice and tall. We'll open the arms out to shoulder height. And with the palms facing forward, let's squeeze our shoulder blades together to open up that chest. Pulse the hands toward the wall behind. We pulse for 4, for 3, 2, and 1. And let's bring our arms down by our sides. We'll circle those shoulders up, back, and down several times. Again, we shake our wrists out. We're going to step to the side of our mat and get ready to make our way down to the floor. So before we do that, decide if you want an extra padding under your knees for when we're on hands and knees. Grab that padding, place it in the center of the mat, and then we're going to bring our feet back about 1.5 to 2 feet behind that extra padding, just so just below the kneecaps get lowered down toward that extra padding once we're down to our mat. Feet are hip width apart now, so just slightly in from where they were with the toes facing forward. Let's breathe our arms up to the ceiling. Let's exhale it out to the sides and down by the body. And we'll slide our tailbone back and the crown of the head forward as we bring our hands toward the mat. We find that point where we feel some stretch through the backs of our thighs. And we bend our knees a little bit more, getting our hands down. Let's walk ourselves forward. Keep the heels down at first. And then we're going to walk our hands forward. Keep the toes pressed into the mat. and lower those knees with control to the floor. Holding here, take that belly to the ceiling. We're gonna curl the pelvis under, shorten it toward the pubic bone, curl to cat. Take the tailbone to the ceiling and reverse that curve to cow. Again, curl to cat, reverse to cow. Twice more, curl it up and reverse, and last time, curl to cat. Reverse to cow, and we'll bring ourselves right to neutral. We'll turn the tops of the feet down to the mat now. Wag your tail from side to side. Fold those hips in half, bringing them up toward the same side shoulder, and then the opposite direction. Coming back to center, hold it here. We're gonna take our toes together, our knees slightly apart, and let's press the bottom back toward the heels and then come right back to all fours. Again, press back to the heels, press up to all fours. Let's take our feet slightly apart, bring our knees slightly closer together so the shins are again parallel to the mat and parallel to each other, and we turn the tops of the feet under, pressing the balls of the feet into the floor. Big breath in, exhale, belly to spine. Big breath in, squeeze the blades back behind the body, and as we breathe out, wrap those blades around the front of the body, pressing those hands more firmly into the floor. Press into the toes. Let's see if we can unweight our knees. Send that tailbone toward the back wall, toward the top part of the back wall, and we're gonna press through the heels of the hands to bring our head back. Let's lengthen our feet back, knees staying bent or straightening them out. We're gonna come into a downward dog, upside down V type position with our tailbone reaching up toward the ceiling, toward the top of that wall behind us. Our biggest goal here really is gonna be the elbows and ears lining up with each other. So that means bending the knees as much as you need to give some slack through the lower part of the body. Let's lower and lift our heels, pressing them down and up. You are welcome to inch those hands slightly farther forward if we need a little more slack. It's okay if the knees stay soft. Lower the heels. We feel those calves lengthen out. Press up to the toes. Let's drop one heel at a time as we bend our other knee, and we'll walk it through for 4, 3, 2, and 1. Bring that second heel down, breathe in, and exhale, belly to spine. We'll pop up to our toes, shift the weight forward, and find ourselves in a high plank. Keeping the hips open, let's lower our knees back down to our padding and walk the hands slightly closer to a position where they're underneath our shoulders. Keeping the core engaged, belly to spine. Let's press the floor away with our arms and shift from side to side, one wall to the next. Coming back to center, we're going to repeat that twice more. If you want to make it more challenging, lift the knees up, holding a full plank. We shift toward the screen and we shift away. Let's repeat that one more time. Shift toward the screen, shift away. We come right back over those wrists. Our knees come down to the floor, and we turn the tops of the feet down to the mat as well. Let's bring our toes together and press the bottom back toward the heels, inching those knees apart if you need a little more room for your midsection. As we drop the bottom toward the heels, we're going to press the heels of our hands into the floor and allow our forehead to come down, ultimately with the goal of getting our ears between our arms. If that's too much on the shoulders, bring the hands a little closer. Let your forehead rest on those arms just north of the elbows. We're going to walk our hands toward our screen and pause with one right on top of the other. Take a big breath here, feeling the opposite side of the trunk lengthen out. As we breathe out, we walk our hands over to the other side, and again, pause. One hand right over the other. Take a big breath in. Breathe it out, walk to the center. We're going to inch the hands forward, lower to the forearms, and shift the weight over those elbows. If you've had something underneath the knees, go ahead and take it out. Place it off somewhere. We'll be able to grab it later, and let's lengthen the thighs to the floor, and we'll come to rest middle thigh with the breastbone reaching toward the wall in front of us. Big breath in, exhale, belly to spine, and we squeeze our shoulder blades, allowing the trunk to draw toward the mat. And then we press through the blades, lifting that breastbone up. Squeeze and press. Squeeze, press one more time. Squeeze together. Press apart, and we hold here for 3, 2, and 1. Let's turn toward our screen. We're going to be propped up on our forearm. Elbow and shoulder are lined up, and we start here with our knees in front and our heels lined up at the bottom. Let's lift up our waistline from the mat, pressing the arm a little bit more firmly into the floor, and that the supporting shoulder is going to stay as far from the ear as we can get it. Let's float our top arm to the ceiling and take our top hand down, lift it right back up. Repeat, take it down, lift it up. We have 2 more of those. We can stay here with our hip on the mat, or we can press through the forearm, lifting that hip up, making the other side of the trunk work a little harder. Fingertips come down, raise them up one more time, take them down, and raise them up. We're gonna hold here for 3, 2, and 1. Lower the hip if it's been lifted. All right, let's take ourselves up through center. As we take a seat on our mat, we're gonna give that supporting shoulder a few rolls back and down, and we'll tip our head away from that side. Let's bring that head back up to center, and we're gonna repeat on our other side. We come down again onto that forearm, elbow and shoulder are lined up, knees are forward in front of us. Take your hand to the bottom of the waistline. We're gonna lift up, pressing through our lower forearm. Shoulder and ear stay away from each other as the top arm comes to the ceiling. Keep that core engaged, and we float those fingertips down to the mat and right back up to the ceiling. Control them down, raise them up. We have 2 more. We can stay here or we can lift our hip up off the mat. Again, the hands come down. We reach them to the ceiling. Take that hand down. Reach to the ceiling. We hold wherever we are. Hold 4, 3, 2, and 1. That hip comes down. We take a seat on our mat. Again, both legs crossed. We could have one crossed and the other just resting on the mat, and we roll that supporting shoulder back and down. And we tip our head to the opposite side. Big breath in, and then we breathe right back up to center. Okay, we're gonna lie down on our mat and turn to our backs. Heels are lined up with the sit bone, so there's a bit of space between our thighs and between our ankles. With the arms down by our sides, we're gonna flip our palms to face the ceiling and slide those arms out until the hands are relatively level with our shoulders. As we reach our fingertips toward the sidewalls, we should feel a stretch from the breastbone outward. If it's too much or if your hands are getting fuzzy, bring the arms down a little farther. If you want a little more, those hands could come up closer to head height versus shoulder height. I'll let you decide what's feeling best for you. At that point, we're going to turn our head and look toward the screen, feeling the far side of the chest lengthen out. And then we'll turn and look away from the screen, feeling the near side of that chest open up. Let's look back to the ceiling, reset belly to spine, and rock the knees away from the screen and toward the screen. As you rock those knees from side to side, what I want you to focus on is keeping your middle back on the mat, those shoulder blades on the mat, and the head and neck nice and still. If this is too much tension, take those arms down a little bit lower. Rock the knees toward the screen. Rock them away. We come right back to the center, big breath in. Exhale, belly to spine. We'll bring our hands down by our sides and give that chin a little nod toward the neck. All right, we're gonna try to maintain that chin nod throughout the next sequence. We keep our core engaged. We bring one knee up to 90 degrees, toes pointed, and we switch legs. Touch toes down, lift the other knee up to tabletop. Switch and touch, switch and touch, switch and touch. Switch and touch, flex the feet, switch it 4, 3, 2, and 1. Everything comes back up to tabletop. Let the feet relax. We can point our toes toward the wall in front, and we're going to take our hands and press them into our thighs as we press our thighs right back into our hands. As we build a bit of pressure, we draw the shoulders down away from the ears. We're going to notice engagement through the front of our trunk. We're going to go with that. Hold that pressure, gentle pressure, and straighten and bend the knees. Toes to the ceiling. Legs back to 90. Toes to the ceiling and legs back to 90. I'm talking so I know I'm breathing. What I want you to try to do is find a breathing pattern that works for you. Inhaling as the toes come up and exhaling back to tabletop tends to work pretty well. But if you prefer the reverse, that's okay. I want you keeping that breath regular, whatever you're doing. Straighten the knees, bend them up, hold the pressure, and we're going to rotate those ankles one direction. Rotate them the other direction. Point the toes toward the wall in front and pull the knee farthest from the screen into the body. Let's take our other foot to the mat and we'll slide that leg out nice and straight, tightening up the back of the knee as we press it down toward the floor. Let's take that pulled in leg, the bent knee, cross it over the body, allowing you to get a little stretch through the outer hip, maybe the glutes, maybe those muscles right along the sacrum. We can let that pelvis wiggle up if it feels appropriate. We'll come back to center and then let's switch legs. Keep that core active as we switch. Lengthen down, touch the back of that knee to the mat, and we'll take our bent one across the body. Again, as we pull, we'll feel the glute open up. We'll feel the muscles right at the sides of that sacrum lengthen out, and we give a little wiggle. Let's breathe back to center. Clasp those fingertips over the shins, and we reset belly to spine. We're going to take that straight leg, lift it up off the mat, just an inch or two. And then let's trace a circle on the wall in front with that outstretched leg. Everything about that hip joint is nice and still. And let's take that circle the other way. Here's 4, 3, 2, and 1. Switch legs. Pull in. Press that opposite leg out. We lift to hover, lengthening our toes away from that bent knee, and circle the wall. There's 4, 3, 2, and 1, and we'll reverse that. Circle 4, 3, 2, and 1. Switch those legs, pull and press. Switch and press, switch and press, switch and press, switch and hold. Keep that leg closest to the screen pulled in. Lengthen the opposite leg down to the mat, and we'll hold on behind our lifted thigh, clasping our fingers over each other. Kick the thigh into the hands. And let's stretch our toes up. Find that first point of resistance, and then we back off. And we lengthen through all those connective tissues in the back of the thigh, including the hamstrings. Point the toes to the ceiling and give that foot a little wiggle. Pointing the toes to the ceiling, we'll take our foot from side to side. Point those toes, draw the belly to the spine, hover that supporting leg up off the floor. Lower the leg, hover it up, lower it down. Let that leg move while keeping the trunk as still as we can. Lift and lower one more time. Lift that thigh, lower it down, take the hands to the mat, and our lifted leg goes out to each side. My knee's a little bit bent. I have a tough time controlling that end range, so I'm keeping a touch of softness in my knee. You're welcome to do the same. You're welcome to extend as best you can. You're welcome to bend that knee as much as you need to achieve stability through the pelvis and trunk. We'll take our leg over the center, and then we stir the hip in its socket, making circles on the ceiling. We'll go twice more. And let's pause at the top and take a breath. Breathing out, we'll take that circle the other direction. There's 4, 3, 2. Inhale at the top. Draw that knee into the body. And as we pull it in, we're going to think about releasing the front of the hip so we avoid that pinch that sometimes comes into the hip as we draw it in. We're going to take that knee out to the side, get a little length through the inner thigh. Draw it across toward the other wall, again opening up through the outer hip and sacrum. And we come back to the middle. Breathe in again, belly to spine on the exhale, switch legs. Slide out, take the hands to the back of the thigh, clasp those fingers together and kick the thigh into the hands. Let's straighten and bend through that knee. Again, finding the range you're comfortable working through today. Bringing those toes to the ceiling, we add our ankle wiggle. Belly to spine, toes point up, and we're going to take our hands a little further down the thigh. Keeping the core engaged, we hover our supporting leg up off the floor. Lower the heel, lift back to hover. Again, lower the heel, lift back to hover. Keep those shoulders nice and still, head and neck nice and still. Lower that leg and take the arms down by our sides. Big breath in. Exhale. I can straighten that knee out a little more on this side. I'm going to go for that end range. And we take our lifted leg out toward each side wall. We're keeping the trunk, the pelvis, that breastbone, the eyes and the nose pointed directly up toward the ceiling. Side to side with that leg. One more time. Breathe away. Bring that leg up and over, and we'll make some circles. There's 4, 3, 2. Breathe in at the top, and then exhaling, we'll take it the other way. Circle 4, 3, last 2, and 1. Hug that knee into the chest. Bring that knee in as close to the shoulder as we can, releasing the front of the hip. And we'll rock that leg from side to side, opening up the inner thigh, lengthening out through that glute and all those sacral muscles, and we come right back to center. Let's pull both knees into the body. Flex up the feet, turn the heels together. Toes and knees come away from center, so we're in a frog position here. Knees are apart, heels are pulling in toward our rear end. We're going to take our hand to the shins and gently pull the heels toward the body a little more if you have a little more room to move. We're going to think about gently pressing our knees slightly out to the side as we draw belly and spine toward each other. Hold that position, keep the heels together as we bring our arms to the ceiling. We're going to press from frog all the way forward toward the wall. Breathe into frog. Exhale, press those legs straight. Inhale to frog. If we need to take pressure off the trunk, we press straight up toward the ceiling. Inhale to frog. If we want to challenge it further, we press farther down the wall in front of us. Inhale to frog and exhale. Press. Inhale to frog and exhale. Press one more time. Inhale to frog. Exhale. Press. We turn our toes toward each other. Sweep the legs to the ceiling and point the toes. Breathe the feet out to the side walls. There's V. Inhale, feet together. Exhale them away. Inhale, feet together. Two more. Exhale, feet away. Inhale, feet together. And one last time. Breathe those feet apart. Inhale them together. Gluing the legs together. We are going to trace a circle on the ceiling with the toes moving simultaneously. Legs tracing the circles together. One more time this direction. Breathe in at the top. And then exhaling, we'll take that circle the other way. To challenge that trunk more, slow it down. Make that circle bigger. We've got two more, whether it's a small tight one or a large tight circle. One more time. Breathe in at the top, bend those knees into the body and rock everything from side to side. Big breath in here. Big breath out. Coming back to center, flex those feet. And let's take our heels down again in line with our sit bones and the hands down by the sides. Rock the knees toward the screen. Rock them toward the far wall. And one more time each. Rock toward the screen. Rock toward that far wall. And we bring our knees right back to the ceiling. Walk the heels a little closer to the bottom. We press our hands into the mat. And we're going to give those glutes a squeeze. Let's press our heels through the floor. Lift the bottom up and lengthen those knees toward the wall in front of us. We're doing our best to keep the knees right over our ankles. We're not letting them slide forward. We're keeping the bottom lifted and just thinking about sending some length through the thighs. We should feel a stretch maybe through the quads, lots of engagement through the rear end and maybe some through the hamstrings. If you feel your low back, come down until you don't feel your low back anymore. At that point, you may just need to squeeze those glutes and hold here. Wherever we are, we're going to hold that for 4, 3, 2, and 1. Lower the bottom. Let's squeeze and lift up again. Breathe down. Breathe up. Breathe those hips down. Breathe in, press them up. One more time. Breathe the hips down. Breathe in, press them up, and we're going to lower and lift one hip at a time. There's 4. Switch to 3, 2, and 1. Hips come to the ceiling. We take a big breath in, and exhaling, we lengthen those tailbones down toward the heels. Release the glutes at the bottom, and we're going to give our knees a side-to-side rock. There's 4. Rock 3, 2, and 1. Bringing those knees back to center. Let's take a breath. Belly to spine on the exhale. We'll squeeze and lift our hips up. Holding them up in the air. Keep the hips nice and still. One at a time. Let's lift a heel up and down. And repeat on the other side. We're trying to keep that pelvis nice and level. We'll feel our knee come up a little bit on one side as we rise up onto the toes. We should feel a nice strong contraction in those glutes. Again, if you feel your low back, take those hips down. We should still be able to get that rear end contraction even if those hips are lifted up just a touch off the mat. Inhale at the top, exhaling, we ridge down again. Releasing those glutes at the bottom. Now we take our knees from side to side. Here's 4, 3, 2, and 1 more. Coming back to center, take that big breath in. Belly to spine on the exhale, we squeeze and lift. We're going to hold it here again with those hips up high enough that we feel our glutes, low enough that we don't pull into our lower back, and we're going to move into a march. One knee at a time comes up and down. If the march is too much, feel free to stick with lifting one heel at a time while keeping that pelvis still, the last one that we did. March 4, 3, 2, and 1. Take that second foot down, squeeze the hips, lift them up, take a big breath in. Breathing out, we lengthen that body down to the mat. Release at the bottom and give those knees a side-to-side rock. Here's 4. Rock 3, 2, and 1. Take those knees toward the ceiling, cross one ankle over the other knee, and then we rock away from that crossed over side and toward it. If you have a little more slack to give, bring that body back to center and then lift that foot that's on the floor off the floor. Again, we rock side to side, whether we've lifted that foot or not, feeling the opening through all those muscles surrounding the sacrum and outer hip. Let's come back to center, switch it up. Ankle to knee, pressing that knee out to the side. Rock side to side, toward the screen, away from the screen. And again, if we think we have a little more slack, lift up, rock away and toward that side, regardless of whether the foot's on the mat or lifted. Excellent. Let's come back to center, unwind, give the knees a hug, take the feet to the floor. Okay, we're gonna turn back over to hands and knees. Grab that padding if you'd like it. Meet me in all fours. Once we're here, we spread those fingers away from each other. Press weight through the pinky side of the hand and through the thumb. And let's set belly and spine toward each other. Squeeze your blades together behind the back and then press them toward the floor. Let's repeat that. Squeeze them together, press them forward. Can we move our shoulder blades without letting those elbows bend? It may not be a ton of motion. That's not a lot of motion that we generally tend to do, but we get nice activation through those outer shoulder blade muscles if we can engage in this way. Holding those hands pressed toward the floor, let's move to a tap. Take one hand, tap it to the opposite shoulder. And if you want to challenge your trunk more with this, widen your hands. Take those pinkies out toward the outer borders. They may not reach all the way. Every little bit of additional leverage we have from shoulder width out toward mat width is going to make that midsection work a little bit harder. One more tap each. Take the hands back to the mat and we curl to cat with the hands over the shoulders. Lengthen to cow. One more time, curl to cat. Lengthen to cow. And come right back to center before giving that tail a wag side to side. Let's take it back to center. We're going to take that leg closest to the screen back. Straightening the knee out. Squeeze your glute. Lift that leg up. And take the opposite arm forward. Hold 4, 3, 2, and 1. Hand comes down, toe comes down. Open that leg out to the side, and we're going to press our foot into the mat. As we do our best to lengthen that foot toward that pinky side of our foot toward the floor, we're going to feel the inner thigh lengthen out. So if you're real tight through the inner thigh, your foot may be back slightly short of hip level. That's okay. And we may not be able to get that foot all the way to the floor either. Okay, we're going to find that stretch point though, and we're going to rock there. Take that bottom back to the heel, and then bring the shoulders over the wrists. Let's do one more time. Rock it back over, wrists and shoulders lined up, and we take our leg back. Slide that leg in, curl the cat, take it to cow, and come right back to neutral. Let's reset belly to spine, slide the opposite leg back, squeeze the glute, and lift that leg up. Reach the arm closest to the screen. Forward, stretch it to the wall. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Hand comes down, toes come down. Slide that foot out to the side and press it into the mat. Think about lengthening your inner thigh down to the floor. We can think about taking that knee joint and lowering it down a little closer to the floor, or that hip and lowering it to the floor on the straight leg side. Let's give that bottom a backward rock, and we'll do that one more time. Coming back to center, we sweep our leg back behind the body, flex the foot and take the ball of the foot to the floor, and we're going to make our way back up to plank. Feet are lined up, shoulders and wrists are lined up. Push that weight from side to side. Coming back to center, tap your toes out one at a time, past the edge of the mat. We can lower our knees if we need a little bit shorter leverage. 4 more taps. 4, 3, 2, 1. Back to center. Knees come down to the mat. Curl the cat. Take it to cow and come right back to center. We're going to walk our hands back toward our knees and bring ourselves up to a nice tall kneeling position. Make sure you set your padding if you find that there's a different place you'd like for the padding to be. We're going to bring belly and spine toward each other, curl the pubic bone toward the breastbone, so tuck the tail under a little bit. And then from here, let's lean our body back. Feel those thighs start to engage, feel the midsection start to work. And then we bring ourselves nice and steadily right back up over our knees. Breathe it back. And take it up. Again, breathe that body back. And take it up. One more time, breathe it back. And take it up tall. Excellent. We're going to take ourselves down to our mat. Take a seat on the mat. Move your cushioning out of the way unless you want it for your bottom, which is completely fine if you do. And we're going to bring our feet in front of us. Flex the feet, heel, toes are off the floor. Heels are lined up with our knees and our hips, and we're gonna grab on behind our thighs. Big breath in, exhale, belly to spine. Lean that body back. Elbows are nice and soft. And we're gonna take our hands to our outer thighs. Press the thighs and hands toward each other. Feel the outer hips engage. And then one at a time, we take a hand away from that thigh and reach it out to the opposite or to the far wall. It's the same side wall. Feel your side muscles engaging. And we're doing our best to keep our trunks still, our pelvis still, symmetrical weight through the back of those sit bones. We're just sitting back just behind them. Grab the shins, pull the body up tall, and with the feet on the floor, we roll our shoulders back and down. Let's take the hands to the mat behind us, settle the weight back to the heels of the hands, and then squeeze those blades together again like we're gonna crack a walnut between them. With the breastbone now reaching up toward the ceiling, we should feel a stretch and an opening through the chest. Also a little bit of stretch through the biceps. Those fronts of those arms should be lengthening out a bit. If we want to add a little more, we inch our bottoms forward. Find that stretch point, and maybe we can bring our heels back a little more. Let's press through our hands, keeping the elbows straight. If we have a little more slack, lift up toward reverse tabletop, aiming to get the hips up, lined up with the knees. Hold 4, 3, 2, and 1. Lowering the bottom. We'll take a seat, face the screen, shake your wrists out, and give those shoulders a couple of rolls. Tip that head side to side. All right, let's make our way down to our mat. We're gonna straighten our legs out and rest on that bottom arm. Stack your top hip right on front of the bottom, top of the bottom one. And the hands in front, so don't feel afraid to roll forward a little bit if you feel like you need to do so to feel your end a little more. Let's point our toes, take the top leg up to hip height. Press the bottom leg into the floor and we pulse the top leg up. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Flex the foot, kick it forward, point the toes, draw it back. Flex forward, point back. 2 more. Flex forward, point back. We're moving through whatever range is working for you. And point back, toes touch down, lift up and arc forward. Touch down and back, touch down in front. 2 more times, touch those toes behind. Touch them in front of the bottom leg, and last time, touch them back. Touch them forward. We'll lift up to hip height, bend the knee. Knee comes up in line with the hip, and we're going to take the top leg down and up. There's 4, 3, 2, and 1. Knee stays still, toes come to the bottom knee. Lift the knee up and down. 4, 3, 2, 1. Stretch that top leg straight. Bring the bottom leg up and down to meet it. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold 4, hold 3, hold 2, hold 1. Bring those knees down, bend them up, pat your hip out, and let's take ourselves to our other side. Short and sweet for those hip series today. Making our way over to the other side. We'll straighten out our legs, stack those hips, and press the top hand down. Let's lift our top leg up to hip height, hold it there, and we pulse up. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Flex the foot, swing it forward, point it back. Flex forward, and point back. Flex forward, point back. 1 more time. Flex forward, point back. Toes come down behind. Take them up and forward. Arc them back. Touch them in front. 2 more. Take them back. And forth. Last time. Take them back. And forth. Lift up to hip height. Bend that knee. Hydrants. Take that leg up and down. 4, 3, 2, 1. Knee stays still. Toes come to the bottom knee, and the top knee goes down and up. There's 4, 3, 2, 1. Straighten out that top leg. Lift the bottom leg up and down. There's 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Lift and hold. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Legs come down. Bend the knees up. Give your hip a little pat, and let's turn onto our backs. All right, settle into the back. We're gonna take our hands down by our sides, bring the ankle bones and knees together. And we'll rock the knees toward the screen. We'll rock the knees toward the far wall. One more time, let's rock the knees toward the screen. We'll rock them toward the far wall. Bringing them back to center, turn the palms to face the ceiling and slide those hands up, arms out until hands are level with the shoulders. Press your middle back into the floor. And let's turn, look side to side toward the screen and away, opening up that chest as we turn that head. Looking forward, hold it there. We'll sweep our arms to the ceiling, open them back toward the wall behind, reaching up to where the wall and the ceiling meet. Let's see if we can breathe them down that back wall. Lower those thumbs toward the floor. Hold, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Sweep the arms out through T, hands down the sides, and press the palms into the mat. All right, we are gonna take one ankle, cross it over the opposite knee, rock the lower half of the body away from and toward that side. One more time. We bring our body back to our starting position, then lift to figure 4 if we have a little more slack. Again, we rock. Again, as whether that foot is on the mat or lifted, rock just the same. One more time, rock away. And toward that crossed over side, we come back to the middle and unwind. All right, opposite ankle to knee. Rock. Away from and toward that crossed over side. Taking some breaths at the same time. Coming back to center, we'll lift if we can, and again, rock. Let's bring that body back to the center, unwind, and hug the knees into the chest. Giving the shoulders a roll back and down, we'll take our feet to the floor. Turn toward that screen. We're gonna bring ourselves over to hands and knees. And let's curl through cat and cow. Grab your cushion if you're more comfortable with your knees on that. Again, curl it up to cat. Take it through to cow. One more time, curl. One more time, reverse. Coming back to neutral, we'll wag our tail. Take it side to side. Taking back to center, we're going to turn those toes under, press the bottoms back toward the heels, and then rock right back up over those wrists. Press the bottom back, and then let's walk our hands toward our knees. As we flip our weight back over to our feet and settle our weight over our ankles, we will get ourselves pushed up nice and tall. Let's give those shoulders a few rolls. And then let's step to the center of our mat, finding something steady to hold on to if you'd like to for a last final balancing exercise. So we're gonna settle our weight into our feet with the hands resting right at the top of the pelvis, just about the waistline. We're gonna shift our weight to one side. Come up to the ball of the other foot. And then let's slowly and steadily make our way up to single leg balance. Again, if you need something to hold on to, find something steady. Tabletop, chair, wall, countertop. Swing that knee up a little higher and give that ankle a little circle. And the other way. All right. If you really want to challenge it, turn your head or look side to side with your eyes. Let's look forward. Take that foot down. We'll shift our weight to it and shake out that other supporting leg as we come up onto the ball of the foot. Find your supporting structure if you need it. Find single leg balance. And then we take that knee up to hip height and circle our ankle. And we circle the other way. Hold. Look with your eyes or turn that head if you want to take it a little further. It's completely fine just to focus on that balance. Let's look forward, take those feet down, shake the wrists out, shake the legs out, look down toward the feet as we turn our toes slightly outward, a little further toward the bottom front corners of the room. As we bring our weight toward our heels, we'll soften up our knees and breathe the shoulders to the ears before breathing them down to the hips. Inhale the arms up and overhead as well. We'll turn our palms toward each other and draw those feet together. Inhale again as we look to the fingertips, press those palms together, and we'll breathe to center. Great job as usual. Have a good weekend, and we'll do it again soon.